Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Wellness Wednesday. I'm joining you live from Houston, and I hope everyone is having a fantastical Wellness Wednesday. Hello, Jen. So I am so grateful that you are here. Hey, Natasha. Welcome, welcome. We are doing our book club this month and for the next few weeks on Think, Learn, and Feel Rich, my book that came out this year. And so I would love to know from you all first to start us off, what was your biggest takeaway from chapter one? That is what I would love to know. What was your biggest takeaway from chapter one? Let me know that in the chat. And if you haven't already, go ahead and grab your book, grab a highlighter, because we are about to really make this an actionable session tonight. So let me know. Oh, thank you, Jen. Yeah, girl. My hair is actually done. I just been, traveling. You already know, and I just did not feel like taking it down. But next time you see me, it'll be down and ready for y'all. Okay, so if you got your highlighter in your book, who let me know in the chat if you've started your financial inventory worksheet. So if you're like, what is the financial inventory worksheet? It is on page, let me tell you, seven, 7 and 8 in the book. So let me know if you've at least started a portion of it. Okay. Oh, yes, I did, Jen. It was super cute. I love a good beret. And you should see it has diamonds on it. Look at that girl. It's real fly. Yes, okay. Awesome, Natasha. Very good, very good. That's okay, Jen. I will recommend putting some time on your calendar to do your life work is what I like to say instead of homework, right? Thank you, Jen. So welcome in, everyone. I see we have some new folks joining us. Welcome in, welcome in. We're doing a quick recap on chapter one, and then we're going to jump into chapter two. So if you've done your financial inventory worksheet, that is going to be on page 7 and 8 of your book. And let me know in the chat who is done. Put a done in the chat. Wow, we got a lot of people today. Let me know who's joining me, where you're joining me from. And if you haven't met me before, I'm Mia James, your favorite financial wellness coach. And I'm also the author of the book that we're discussing this month called Think, Learn, and Feel Rich. Hello, lovely Dorielle. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I know Natasha did her homework. And the other thing I want to know is, what was your biggest takeaway from chapter one? It doesn't have to be anything long and drastic, but drop that in the chat. I want to know, what was your biggest takeaway from chapter one? And anything that surprised you. Maybe, something, maybe you've never asked yourself why 5 times, right? So let me know what was your biggest takeaway. And then I would love to know from you, when you think of date with your dollars, what comes to mind for you? So I'm asking you a couple of things. One, if you started your financial inventory, you could put a yes or a no in the chat. And if you haven't, I recommend putting some time on your calendar to work on it. That's pages 6 and 7 in your book. Key takeaways from chapter one. And when you hear date with your dollars, what comes to mind? All right. Awesome. So we got Brooklyn in the house. Where Brooklyn at? Thank you, Dory. I look forward to being on your show. Awesome. So Natasha's biggest takeaway was that she can dream bigger and live in those dreams. Come on, Natasha. That's what I'm talking about. Anybody else want to share? Thank you so much. Awesome. So Doriel says, date with my dollars means my monthly review of my numbers. Love that. Love that. Yes. Because anything that you don't manage, you can't maintain. Just think about that. Like, if you just leave anything to chance, it is going to do what? Atrophy. Okay. So that's really important that you make sure that you actually take time to mind your money. You want to mind your mind, which is your mindset, and you want to mind your money. Yes, Jen, financial goals. Love that. Love that. Excellent. All right. So we are going to jump into chapter two today. Oh, thank you. Hello, Mandy Pettis. Welcome to the community. Thank you. Thank you. I just came back from a life-changing retreat this weekend. in Palm Beach, Florida. I actually got a chance to speak and share my love for financial wellness, and I won an award. Can you imagine? I was like, oh my gosh, just floating around. It was great. So thank you so much for that, love, Manny Pettis. I love that name. And Natasha says, date with my dollar means I need to spend more time seeing where my money is going because I want happy money. Yes, happy money. Oh, and today, y'all, I am like getting into options trading and I did my first roll. Don't worry if you don't know what that means because I'm learning too. And so that was really fun. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Janice. Hi, Janice. Welcome. Okay, so feel free as we're going through chapter 2 to drop anything in the chat that came up for you as you work through chapter 1, any key takeaways, because I want to hear from you. I want to know how this is helping you to connect with their finances. So let's go into chapter 2. So, chapter 2 starts on page 17 of the book. Okay, and it says revenue, BKA income. So hello. It looks like like it says cereal, but I don't have on my glasses, so forgive me if I cannot read it properly. Okay. So chapter 2 is called Date with Your Dollars. And I came up with this term because again, like I said, you want to have an intimate relationship with your money. You want to know, first of all, you want to give each dollar a purpose. And then within giving each dollar a purpose, you want to make sure that it's actually hold it accountable to fulfilling that purpose. So, guess what? In order for us to know what it's doing, we have to date it, right? We have to spend time with it, just like we spend time with people. So, basically, you want to evaluate if it's working, if it's not working, and what room you have for growth. So, the reason why I got into options was just because it was a little bit more passive, right? Obviously, you have to watch certain things, but I just really like that passive aspect of um, collecting premium. And I like to say that I like my money to go out and make friends. Anybody else like their money to go out and make friends? Because, there's things like dividend bearing stocks, there's options trading, there's cash value life insurance. And who doesn't like to put money into something and then when you do a review, find that your money has grown? Anybody else out there besides me? I know I personally enjoy that thoroughly. But I want to also drop a concept into your spirit, which is our income. People that we know think of income. Income is actually revenue. So any monies that you earn is revenue. Your income is actually the money that you have after you subtract your expenses. Exactly, Natasha. We want money babies because the income is the money that you have to invest, that you can allow it to go out and make friends, right? Money babies, like Natasha calls them. So if all your money is right now going towards paying bills, then you may not have extra money to go out and make friends. So we really have to make sure that we have a clear understanding of the terms that we're using around money. So I always say anything that I earn is revenue. I subtract my expenses and the money that's left over, that's my discretionary income and that's the money that I can use to make more money. So let's keep going. So we're going to go on to page 17 and I want us to really highlight all of our areas of revenue because some of us don't remember some of our sources of revenue. Like for example, um say like some people their parents still give them money every month. Some people collect child support, some people get alimony, some people have a business and you may not necessarily let's say you do contract work and maybe you don't get paid every month but you get paid quarterly or as you perform services. So you want to actually take a an average of that money. Hey Errol, thanks for joining us. Hey Teresa, welcome in everyone. So I know some new folks have joined us. So we are actually going over chapter 2 in my book, Think, Learn, and Feel Rich. And we are on page 18. And we're talking about date with our dollars. And the whole premise behind date with our dollars is that what we don't manage, we cannot maintain. And I know some of you are wonderful at managing your money. And so if you all have thoughts, please drop them in the chat. So in the book, I want you to just put a placeholder on page 27. Okay. And with your highlighter at the top, now you can actually scan this QR code and it is going to take you to a fillable PDF of all of the worksheets in this book. Because of course this is too small. I cannot see this. Okay. Anybody else can't see this, too little. But what I want you to do with your highlighter is I want you to highlight, it's a small box at the top and it says job one, job two, job three. You may not have a job. I don't have a job. I have a business. But source of revenue one, source of revenue two, source of revenue three. And I want you to highlight those sources of revenue so that when you actually go fill this out, you have the number of boxes highlighted. So if you have two sources of revenue, then you're going to highlight two boxes. If you have three, you highlight all three boxes and so forth and so on. So as many income streams as you have, I want you to highlight those at the top. So that's our first step that we want to do. So don't forget, if you have side businesses, bonuses, dividends, any way that you have an income stream, I want you to make sure you capture that. The next thing you want to do is if you have income that's not consistent, because this is the thing, some people's income, for example, if you do contract work like I do, sometimes I get paid once a quarter. So you want to take the average of that you get for the year and divide that by 12 and use that as your income. Okay. So any questions on that so far? Put those for me in the chat. All right, we'll keep going. I don't see any, but I will keep checking. Now we're going to move to page 19 and let's talk about expenses. So on page 27, again, I want you to get your highlighters out or circle, whatever you have in front of you. And you'll see some different types of expenses. Again, this is a little small, so I don't know if y'all can see it or not. But any expense that you do have, I want you to highlight that. And I don't want you to necessarily fill this out right now while we are in book club, but I want you to, hey, No C's Way, welcome. I want you to highlight which expenses you actually have. Because the thing is, what guess what? What, Cassie? Tell me. Because as you're evaluating this, you might actually find that there's some expenses that you no longer want to have that are no longer serving you in your values. And I believe in value-based spending. Anybody else do that? Anybody else believe in value-based spending? What I mean by that, in case you're not familiar with it, is basically I decide, like for example, I believe in tithing, right? And so whenever I get any type of revenue, I always want to give money to the Lord. I want to give money out through philanthropy. I want to pay myself and then pay everybody else. So based on your values, that is how you can set up your spending plan. And if you are spending money on things that are no longer aligned to who you are and what you value, it's important for you to know that. And the only way for us to know that is if we actually do an inventory every now and then. Exactly, Natasha. We don't have no money to waste. So this chapter, y'all, is quite technical. I will say that this is where we're going to lift up the hood if we haven't already. And if you're in Errol's class, his options master class, he gave us a life work assignment. He told us to calculate our cost of living. So if you're following his masterclass training, this will be a great way for you to actually break down what your cost of living actually is, so that when you're based on whatever type of revenue stream you have, you already know how much money you want to work towards, so that you can replace your earned income with passive income. Because I don't know about y'all, but I definitely want my passive income to exceed my earned income. Anybody else out there? Let me know in the chat. Because I think that'd be a lovely day. All right. So we talked about highlighting those expenses. The second paragraph is I want you to also think about those expenses that are irregular. So a lot of times when I'm working with my clients and we're talking about spending plans, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Jen, and thank you, Natasha. So I got at least three people in here that want their passive income. This means income that you did not work for to exceed their income that they earned. I know I do. Because guess what? That means you don't have to always trade time for money. And wealthy people understand that time is a greater currency than money. Sit with that for a minute. Time is greater currency than money. But I'll let y'all marinate on that. So let's talk about irregular expenses, y'all. So this is at the second paragraph, page 19. So here I am working with clients, right? And I'm getting deep into the deep. And I'm like, hey, how much money do you spend on gifts? How much money do you spend on servicing your car? How much money do you spend on travel and entertainment? And they're like, I didn't write that down because I don't do it every month. I said, but do you do it? Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to take that into consideration because what I also find is that when people end up going on trips or they have a car servicing need or anything like that, guess what do you think they do if they don't have the money? Let me know in the chat. What do people do if they don't have the money and something like a vacation or you need your car service comes up? What do they do? Let me know in the chat. Yes, exactly, Jen. This is a great tip. So this is one of the things I tell my clients all the time. Any annual, quarterly, or semi-annual payments, break them up by 12, put that money in a bank account, and have that money ready for when it's time. So for all my non-monthly expenses, I basically save for them every month. Exactly. So Jen got it, Dorielle got it. There we go. So we want to make sure that we take into account every type of expense that can happen. Christmas comes every year. So why not save up for it throughout the year so it's not throwing your spending plan off when it's time for the holidays? Why not? All right, so let's keep going. One thing when you are breaking down your spending plan on page 27. Again, if you just came into the room, you can scan that QR code and it is going to give you a free fillable PDF workbook on all the worksheets in the book. So that way you do not have to use these little tiny sheets because who can see these? I know I can't. It's just for you to know that that resource is there. So definitely scan that QR code on page 27, email it to yourself or whatever is easier for you. So some of your banks, like I know Chase does this, and there's certain apps, like I use Rocket Money. If you connect your accounts to the apps, or if your bank does it, they will actually categorize your spending for you. So check that out. If you're like not quite sure, like how much do I spend on gifts? How much do I spend on servicing my car? Check to see if you could get a summarized breakdown on what you're actually spending. That is great. Jen said she started her shopping early. Very good. I was like, "Well, I haven't started." I'm just like, "Hmm." So, anything that you know that comes around annually, save for it throughout the year. Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, trips. Like, I know my travel budget is insane, so I have to save for it all year long. So, one of my, pro tips, which is on page, 20, is that you can tackle your expense plan in small manageable chunks. So for example, it's in three different columns. Maybe you take on one column a day, right, over the weekend. So if you feel overwhelmed by trying to have to figure all this out, don't do it at one time. Just set aside maybe a weekend to knock it out little by little. So the next thing is, and if you have questions, like I said, go ahead and put that in the chat. Put that in the chat. We're on page 21. How we doing on time? Okay, we're doing good. I think we can actually knock out chapter 2. So I asked you to do a couple things. I asked you to highlight how many income streams you have on page 27 at the top. It's a little tiny box. And then I also asked you to highlight any expense categories that you spend money in. You know, some of you may not have like homeowners insurance or things like that. So you don't have to highlight that. But any expense that you know you spend on at least once throughout the year, highlight that and figure out if it's a monthly expense, an annual expense, quarterly, whatever have you, and then break those down by 12 because you want to take into account every dime you spend so that you can actually know what your real cost of living is. Because things pop up, right? Even sometimes if you go and buy gum, maybe that's included in your grocery bill. So let's wrap up here with reflections and on income and expenses. So And, when I'm walking my clients through this exercise, I have two different reactions. Some people are like, "Oh, it's not as bad as I thought," right? And then I have another reaction of like, "Oh my God, I need to cut back," or "Oh my gosh, this is like not the way." And I always tell everyone that you have a day one, but the only way that you can make any type of change when it comes to your finances, because for those of you who were here last week, you started to dream and really get clear on what your audacious goal is for your finances. You have to know what the situation is. So awareness is the first step in any type of change that you want to make. So maybe some of you discovered last week that you're not dreaming big enough. Or maybe you discover, like, you know what? I don't know what my big why is. Like, why do I even want this money? Like, why is this important to me? Is it legacy? Is it something else? And so I want you to, as you're doing these exercises, here are some questions for reflection. And this is on page 21, because if anything, you don't have to tell me, of course, but I want you to be honest with you. You are the if don't I always say to my clients, whatever you do, don't lie to yourself. Take a good hard look at the numbers and you get to make some new decisions. So the first thing I always have them to reflect on is, do you actually have income? And if you came in a little later, income is revenue, meaning the money you bring in from either paycheck, child support, alimony, pensions, wherever you get the money from, minus expenses. So whatever money is left over after you pay your bills, that is income. Okay, some people got negative, some people have 1,000, some people have $10,000 left over. It really just depends, right? No, this is a judgment-free zone. But the first thing you need to realize is, do you actually have income? Do you actually have money after you pay all your bills? The second question you want to ask yourself is, if you do have income, is the amount that you have aligned to the numbers that you put on page 27 or in your fillable PDF? Is it aligned? Right? So if your worksheet says you have $500 a month left over, but you really only have two, then you got a leaky hole somewhere. So then the question becomes, okay, where did this extra $300 go? Where is it going? Are we eating it? Because I'm like a big eater. What are we spending? Do we even know what we're spending it on? Right? And then the third thing you want to ask yourself is there anything that you would change? Is there anything that you would change? Okay. So these are your reflection questions. And remember, this is a judgment-free zone. So let's keep going. We're almost done because I told y'all that these are really short chapters. So we're on page 22 now. So here's some next steps, because Jen has volunteered y'all. Jen said Grubhub gives her income. Y'all, I told y'all finance can be fun, right? Even though we have to reflect and we have to be serious, you know, one thing my mom always taught me is that if you work, then you should be able to treat yourself. Now, it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, but you shouldn't only be working to pay bills. You also want to be able to live. So here's three things to do next. First and foremost, if you need to reassess and adjust your expenses, okay, you got that under control. Okay. Yeah, Jen got us over here cracking up talking about Grubhub take all her money. I believe it, Jen. The second thing is, consider increasing your income. So if you need to, do you have another way to increase your income? And the third way is to set up automations. Okay. And so this is the biggest thing that has helped me to grow my wealth, is automate. Now, the automation is the set it and forget it part. So once I turn it on, it's going to the investment account. It's going to the investment account. But where you don't set it and forget it is, want to do reviews, right? This is where your date with your dollars comes in. Okay, where you sit down, whether it's weekly or monthly. I would probably say minimum is monthly. I mean, minimum. You don't want to do it too much. Wait, am I saying that right? I'm still a little jet lagged. But you don't want to do it like too infrequently, is what I'm saying. That's what I mean. Yes, thank you, Natasha. A portion of all I earn is mine to keep. Amen. Amen and amen. Because my grandfather actually taught that to my mother, to make sure that anytime, even if you make $10, keep a dollar for you. Because what happens is, if we end up paying all of our bills and then something happens, then what, we don't have any money in savings. What are we going to do? Then we go back into debt. So always make sure that your house is in order. Always make sure you take care of you, because believe you me, the people who we owe money to, they are taking care of them. So make sure you take care of you and save some money for yourself first. Okay. So we talked about automation. This is the main thing. So definitely highlight this, get intimate with this automation. This has definitely helped me triple my investment account. And then the next on page 23, this starts your action item. So Jen asked for accountability work. So your action item is to record all sources of revenue. And then it ends on 24. Fill out your expense chart, and then automate monthly transfers for expenses that don't occur monthly. So, like I said, anything you don't spend money on monthly, travel, gifts, things of that nature, set that money aside so that you have it in a savings account for when you need it. And I would say evaluate weekly or monthly your expenses to see if you need to cut down anything or if you need to make some additional income. And then there you have it. That is chapter 2, date with your dollars. All righty. Excellent. Then how do we do? Ooh, good. 3 minutes to spare. Awesome. So any questions, any thoughts, any takeaways? What are your key takeaways? What are some action steps that y'all are going to get into? Let me know in the chats. I see some folks watching, but y'all haven't been in the chat. Beth, you out there in the chat world? I know my friend Beth told me she watches. but she so if you want to join the chat and you're like it's not working, you have to join on the YouTube app if you're on your phone. Okay? That's important. Thank you, Errol. Errol says track everything. So, Errol is teaching a wonderful master class. If you are in his master class, you should definitely be doing this exercise because it will get you ready for our homework that he gave us on Tuesday. It will help us calculate our cost of living. Yes, Natasha, when is your date with your dollars? I like to date my dollars on Sunday. And also, you can make it into, not to spook anyone out, but like a ritual, right? Like I like to have my favorite drink, like something hot, maybe a hot chocolate. If I do it in the morning, a coffee. And then I like to I have a cute little notebook, you have this cute little book. However you want to do it, just make it something that's fun, and give yourself grace. You want this not to be a judgment on yourself. It's just information. Just look at it as information. Awesome. Automate. There you go, Teresa. Dorielle, weekly date with your dollars. Excellent. We got Letitia. Yes, excellent. Yes, pay yourself, Letitia. Pay yourself first. You worked hard for that money. Yes, tracking your spending. And there's apps now that help you to do that. Because sometimes we need a little reality check. Yep. Okay, so Doriel's gonna do hers on Sunday too, and Natasha's gonna do hers on Friday. Excellent. That's what I love to hear. So thank you all for participating tonight. So we'll be back. I'll still be in Houston next week. Yep. I'll still be here warm, praise the Lord. And we'll be doing chapter 3. So remember you have your action items. They are on page, let's just get that for you, 23 through 24. And the worksheet is on page 27. Go ahead and scan that QR code, get the fillable PDF, and make it do what it do. You owe this to yourself. Make sure whatever you manage, whatever you don't manage, you can't maintain. So make sure that you manage it so you can maintain the wealth that's coming to you. All right, everyone. Have a great night. I'm gonna go spend time with my little nephews because he was like, "Titi, you leaving me?" Oh, he was supposed to come say hi to y'all. Let me see if I can get him. LJ, maybe next week. He wanted to come on to the live. Let's see. Is he coming? No. Okay. Well, y'all have a wonderful night. Thank you for your time and attention and being here. Was so grateful. Oh, here he comes. LJ, come say hi to everyone. Here. Okay. They can't see you. Okay. Can you say hi to everybody? Can y'all hear him? I don't know. They may not be able to hear you. So come wave to everyone in the camera. Oh, wait. No, they can't. Here we go. Here's my little guy. Say hello. Wave. This is LJ, everybody. He's 3, and we are teaching him early about finances. So it's all about the babies. This is my why, y'all. This is my why right here. So everyone's saying hi to you, LJ, Miss Dorielle, Miss Jen, Miss Natasha. So sometimes you just need to have your why right in front of you. Yeah, they saying hi to you right here. You see that? Look at that. You want your mommy? Okay. Let's tell everybody good night. Can you say good night to everybody? Thank you, LJ. Bye, y'all.